Hello everybody, how's it going? Bobby Goodwin here once again with another episode of Hi on PotCoin TV, episode number 5. And today you can see sitting next to me is Russell Thomas, who is known online as Nihilator. You might have seen him on Reddit or Twitter using that handle. And he is the CIO for PotCoin Systems. And he's going to be talking to me today about some cool stuff. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly say thank you to the PotCoin subreddit for sponsoring Hi on PotCoin. For the last couple of months, they have donated graciously to support me in what I'm doing here, and so they're sponsoring everything, so we give them a good mention. There'll be another campaign coming up soon, and it'll be run through PotFunder this time, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out that way. So from there, straight into talking to Russell, man. How are you going? Yeah, not bad at all. I'm doing great. It's been a good week, actually. I hear you've been traveling again, and you're in California, I believe, right? That's always an interesting one to try and get over, but I'm sure you'll sort it out somehow. You fight for it, or? No, that's right. So yeah, man, I thought it'd be a good way to get you introduced to the people who watch my stuff, to have you on. Obviously, people have seen you around, mostly in writing. Not many people have seen your face yet, so just let me know, how did you get into cryptocurrencies? How did you get into the cannabis side of things? Which one were you into first? How did that all come about, man?
Italy. And when I got finally busted when I was like 19 years old doing that, I decided to go mainstream and I got into security, and I've had a career in it ever since. I've also run many other businesses on the side. I'm very active. I have to stay busy at all times. It's just my nature. So I've had a couple of businesses, several startups, but mostly stayed in InfoSec. And then the cannabis, well, I've always been in Colorado. I smoked since I was 15 recreationally. But over the past, I would say 5 years, it's become far more of an investment opportunity for me, as well as the medical side. I'm starting to realize and learn about the amazing benefits that keep growing, and then of course it's even being applied to my own son, which we'll talk about more later. But in all, when the opportunity to get into Potcoin came around, it was a perfect mesh of everything. It was security, it was cannabis, it was high tech, and it's finance. Finance is one of my biggest hobbies. I love finance. So I could not be any happier right now. I'm actually getting able to work with all of everything that I love. I mean, it's this is my fantasy, and I'm having a ball. I literally can't stop. I have to have people that I practically pay to tell me to go to sleep because I can't stop working on this.
Awesome, man. So as a CIO, what is your role in PotCoin? What kind of things have you been up to?
Everything. So right now, I mean, it's kind of your classical startup. We're 6 months old. So right now, doing everything. The biggest thing was the website and getting that launched and the rebranding. And now it's focusing back on our core software, which is really important. We've got our mobile wallet, we've got our merchant terminal. They're all working, but I'd really like to see them cleaned up and improved and have some capabilities added. So that's the next phase, along with the events like the Cannabis Cup. We've got the American Glass Expo coming up. We've also got the Cannabis Summit going on in Denver right now, and my partner over there, Alec, he's at the Cannabis Cup or the Summit right now. So it's been a whirlwind, a very good one, and we're making a lot of great progress. I think we've really established dominance in the, we'll call it, cannabis coin industry, and as well as just in the cryptocurrency industry. I mean, we're sitting market cap wise roughly around 30th, depending on which day you look. But considering that this is a relatively niche coin, that's pretty amazing. And I think by the end of the year, it'll no longer be niche. This is going to be really at least in the top 15, if not top 10, by the end of the year.
So man, so what would you say PotCoin is mostly focused on right now? Like, what is it, adoption, or is it, what are there other things?
I would say simplification is the best way to put it. That ties into sales, that ties into everything, but mostly we need to get into the hands of the common consumer. And we've got that, but you've got to simplify. You can't tell people, go to Coinbase and buy some Bitcoin and then trade it for some PotCoin and then some PotCoin for some pot. And then it's too hard. And that's got to be simplified. So that's really the goal right now. I mean, starting next week is really our big push into let's get our feet on the ground and let's sell. I mean, we've been selling, but we want to make sure that we're ready, that we've got our software in line, our branding in line, our marketing materials, and all of our people, our ambassadors, our developers. And you want to launch right. You want to launch, as right as you can with the startup anyways. And I think we've done that. And by Monday, we're really going to hit the ground running in Oregon and Washington and California and largely Denver. And then, of course, Canada, too. We're ready. And after this event, we've got our pot cards out now. We've got our marketing materials. And we're really ready to get out there with a robust product. So I'm very excited to start selling. I think July is going to be absolutely huge for bringing on new merchants.
Right. Can you go into the pot cards a bit more as well and explain a bit more how they work? Are they just
Sure.
like a private key on a card? Or?
It's not a private key on a card because I wanted to avoid that specifically because of the simplicity that I just talked about. So you've got people like, I always try to put everything in the terms of, well, my mom's got to be able to use it. And if my mom can use it, everybody can use it. And we gain that adoption that we need that's beyond the techs and the miners and the hackers, geeks, and freaks, right? Love them, but there's only so many of them. And we really want PotCard to be used everywhere. So we devised a method where the pot card, you scratch off the back where there's a secret key. That secret key is simplified. It's all uppercase. It's 8 characters. It's alphanumeric, but it's something anybody can do, and it's a 3-step process. If you don't have an account in the mobile wallet, you create one. You basically register. You hit redeem. You put in the code. You're done. You've got your 100 PotCoin. At this point, this is going to be 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. Right now, what we've got is the 100 PotCoin that we're giving away at the Cannabis Cup. And we've got thousands of them, not only for the Cannabis Cup, but also for our merchants. And each merchant that comes online with a physical store, they'll also be giving away some pot cards. So right now, it's really the summer of PotCoin, as we're calling it. And this is a big part of that promotion, kicking off the summer of PotCoin with the free pot cards.
Awesome, man. So that means are they tied to the web wallet and the Android?
They are.
They have to be.
They are. And it needs to be. I mean, you could go private key, you're right. But once you do that, you're still addressing the same market, and that wasn't our intent. We want to get it into the hands of the average Joe. And from our marketing experiments so far and research, the method that we've chosen is working perfectly. I can hand these to anybody, and I frequently do. And they look at it with confusion. They say, well, what do I do with that? I said, don't worry, just turn it over. Follow the 3 instructions on the back. They go, oh, okay. And when they do that and they realize, oh, well, that was easy. And now, wait, I own pot and I have an account and I'm ready to go. I'm like, yeah, you're ready to go. And they're pretty shocked with that. The next step is, okay, well, what do I do with it? And some people want to hold it, some don't want to add more, and some want to purchase with it. Right now, they can purchase with a limited number of online retailers. And also, we've got our retailers here physically in Colorado and the like. But I see that expanding rapidly now. Now that we've gotten past this major milestone, we can really get our guys on the ground, and we're going to sell. And you're going to see this open up online and at physical stores fast.
And also on the wallet, Smokemon said somewhere on Reddit, I believe, that there was an update coming to it soon. What's the update? Is it just like a stability update, or
now which wallet are you referring to?
Like the web wallet, I believe. Yeah, the Android.
Oh, the web wallet. So as a part of the rebranding in the website, we did redo the graphics a bit. I'd like to see a lot more. But right now we're focused on the merchant terminal. We've got a merchant terminal application running on Android, and we have tablets that are used specifically for this, just so that you've got a unified platform and you can control your variables. But we want to turn this into anywhere, anytime, both consumer wallet and merchant wallet. It does work now. I would like to see additional features. Specifically, we need features to address the marijuana market's legality. And so where I am in Denver, we need a strong audit trail that includes US dollars. Well, that's not typically in your blockchain. You need user account control and role-based management. You need a few things that are not included in your typical blockchain, typical no SQL implementation. This goes more classic, so you have to have a hybrid implementation. So we've got that going, but I want to make sure it's very robust, very secure, auditable, exportable, and we've got to have a way to address the concerns of the dispensary owners who want to be able to cash out, or at least have the option to on a weekly basis. So all of that is in works, and we should have a new version within 2 weeks, but everything is functional now.
Awesome news, man. That's cool to hear. So that
Yeah,
will give them a full, like, I guess, like a printout of all the information they need completely.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
guess a
you
bit
have an audit trail,
customized.
how much US dollar, how much pot was spent. They need this to maintain their audit trail. And so when people ask, well, why isn't River Rock taking it for flower, for marijuana? Well, that's essentially why. It's because we are learning along with them. Basically, marijuana and cryptocurrency are two of the hottest startups going on, period. And the rules are changing rapidly. So in that case, we are consulting with our attorneys and theirs and making sure that we are absolutely 100% compliant with the laws in Colorado and every state that we go into. And it's really software that implements that. So we want to make sure that that is absolutely robust and well tested before we get out there. So while people are pushing, saying sell, 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 it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We want to make sure we sell right. We want to get out right the first time and make sure that this is robust enough to handle every economy that we're going to be dealing with.
Yeah, I guess it is important to make sure that it is all being done right and by the regulations, because they are so different from region to region. And
Oh, state to
only take
state.
it would take one tiny little story of something that was illegal and somebody being charged with something or something like that, and it would just blow out of proportion straight away. So, like you say, if you get it done right the first time, it might take a bit of time. But you mentioned River Rock, obviously. How have they been so far? That's obviously the area that you're in Denver there. So has it
They're
been
amazing.
received well?
Oh yeah, 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 very well. I mean, River Rock is basically our test bunny. And they've agreed to that. They're a wonderful store. They're huge. Their grow facility is absolutely amazing. Their ownership is amazing. They love us. We love them, which is great because they've allowed us to make mistakes, and we've allowed them to make mistakes in this. And that's exactly what you need when you're at this point. And so they're very patient with us. The ATMs are so fresh. They've been working, but originally they had one bug or another, and I'm down there, solving them and getting new software, and that's okay. That's expected, and they know that. And as they tell us, they said we only deal with startups. There's no other type of business right now in the marijuana industry. There's nothing but startups. So it's actually really nice. It's to our advantage to be a startup and to be in cannabis because it's nothing new at all. And so they're very, very supportive, and we're working hand in hand to make sure we can address their needs and ours, and they can be kind of our initial markets for local marketing techniques and to see how, for example, the pot cards go, and so far going quite well. So before we launch out and we go in and we really branch our arms out into the market, we want to make sure we're legal, our software is robust, our bugs are out, and we've tested our market, and they're allowing us to do that with them, and that's been great.
Nice, man. So moving on to what you're doing at the moment this weekend with the Cannabis Cup and all that. Are you kind of replicating what you did in Denver around 420? Like, is it that same kind of approach? Go down there and get the word out? Have you got local advertising or anything this time around? Is it a
Well,
bit
yeah,
different?
go down and get the word out. Yes, but a completely different approach, I would say, from the last time. So the last time was we had radio advertising and those kind of things, and that's great. It did actually very well. However, this time we are partnering up with Kindtray, and we've got a large booth that we're sharing. This you're going to be so impressed when the pictures come back from this. So what we've got is basically a 10 by 20 booth with a bar in the middle, the most beautiful bar you've ever seen with 12 seats around it. We've got couches, we're going to have tables, we're going to have everything there to where you can come in, and it's not just, hey, look at our stuff, buy our stuff, take a flyer and walk away. It's like, no, sit down, have a smoke. We're going to tell you about how this works. Matter of fact, if you want to learn how the ATM works, we'll hold your hand. We'll walk you through it. You want to buy, shirts and hats, great, but come in and sit and talk to us too. It's going to be a very personalized experience because we realize that the only problem really with cryptocurrency is just the understanding of what it is and how it applies. And once people realize what this is and how they can use it and how they can obtain it, you find them rapidly adopting. They're like, wow, I get it. Nobody's ever, really given me the answers I've needed to those questions because I knew Bitcoin, this and that, but like nobody knows. So we want to we want to really spend some time with these people and everybody that has that curiosity as an investor, as a consumer, and address them one at a time. And I think that's really going to work. But at the same time, we're going to be giving away the pot cards. You're going to have the ATM there. If you just want to stop by, grab a flyer, use the ATM, get a pot card, you're perfectly welcome to do that too. But we'll probably have the best booth as far as sitting down and just enjoying hanging out. I mean, music and leather couches and a bar. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be neat.
That's cool because there's obviously people who have never really heard of crypto before. probably the majority of people who will be there. So it's going to take some time to kind of explain stuff to, if they're going to hang out for a bit. Gives you that chance to kind of get in there. How many people have you got down there to represent PotCoin?
Oh, it's just Joel and I. So Joel, the CEO, and so really, there's just the two of us that are going to be at this event. That's going to grow over time, but it's fine. We've actually got a lot of help. So being that we partnered with KindTray, they've got a lot of resources that are going to help us, and we've also combined with a glass blower and some other people. Basically, we're going to have a booth filled with a lot of people, and we're all going to be basically sharing this bar and using the same concept of sit, talk, enjoy, get to know us. We're not just, either a hot chick behind a table, and we're not just some flyers and some guy standing in the corner that doesn't care. We're there, we care, we want to talk to everybody coming by. So it won't be just us. It's actually going to be the crew with KindTray, and we'll all be joining in on this effort to really spread the message. And if you spend just 5 minutes with somebody and really explain this and explain what we're doing, not only do you have a lifetime subscriber to PotCoin, but they start telling people. They start becoming that marketing message for you. And we find that at this stage is just worth every penny of time that we can put into it.
And what is your approach to somebody brand new like that who's never heard of PotCoin? How do you explain it to them? Do you use it as like a kind of explain it's kind of a bit like PayPal, or sort of like some kind of tokens, or how do you go about it?
You always start with Bitcoin in my mind. You say, have you heard of Bitcoin? Do you know what it is? And sometimes you get an absolute no, I've never heard of it. And at that point, you're challenged. You're like, okay, let me start from the beginning of money and time. And but most of the time you don't. Most of the time you go, yeah, I've heard of Bitcoin. It's been in the news, and I heard somebody bought a Tesla with Bitcoin. You're like, yeah, they did, but that's what we have here, and this is called an alternative coin or an altcoin. And you start going down this road of explaining how there's multiple coins, and most people don't know there's multiple coins. They've heard of Bitcoin and maybe Dogecoin, and that's about it. So you explain that coins can take on many different forms, and ours happens to be particularly focused on the cannabis industry to address several needs. And one mostly being that taking anything other than cash is difficult. That we do see that changing, however, and we've got approaches there. But that's a huge demand. There's low transaction fees, right? I can go into this laundry list of things, and I don't need to tell that to this audience here because we all know them. But I tried not to. I try to keep it simple because all they want to know is, how do I get it? How do I spend it? And what's the benefit? So I break it down into those. I say, look, here's how you get it. You'll be able to buy it directly very soon, and actually through our website. That is planned to be able to buy it directly. We're just, again, figuring out the legality there and making sure that we're good in our methods and our risk is reduced. And then how do you spend it? Well, you can go to any store that's an authorized PotCoin merchant. They say, well, where is that? I say, well, okay, there's not that many yet. But by the end of the summer, we expect it to be, at least in Denver, very prominent. And they say, okay, well, that's easy. Well, what's the benefit? We say, well, everywhere you go, you're going to get a discount. There's going to be a guaranteed discount for using PotCoin versus credit card or versus cash. And that's really where their eyes light up. They go, oh, well, then why would I not use PotCoin? I go, exactly. And the conversation is pretty much over, right? So now it's just a matter of gaining that adoption, both at the merchant level and the consumer level. But the equation itself is very simple. And if you can simplify it to make it so, again, my mom can use it, you win. And that's really our goal here.
Awesome, man. So moving on, I guess, from that, was there anything else sort of about what PotCoin's doing at the moment you wanted to add before we move on to the other stuff?
Let me think. We're doing so much. I can hardly keep track. We'll be out in Vegas, just as a reminder for American Glass Expo. I know a lot of fans are out in Vegas, so come by and see us. Again, we'll be coordinating with KindTray. They are very, very good friends of ours. So look for KindTray, look for PotCoin. We'll be out there, and we'll be partying in Vegas. So if anybody wants to hang out with us, let us know. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. There's a lot of other developments I can't talk about. And so I'll just leave those on the secret table for now. But you guys kind of know me by now. You'll find out in little hints here and there as we go along.
Also, one more thing I just thought of was the vote on PotCoin Joint for what you would like to see focused on next. The wording, and
yeah.
It seems like the most voted for one at the moment is the way to buy PotCoins, like an escrow kind of thing. Are you thinking of making something kind of like local PotCoins, like kind of like local Bitcoins, or is it something different, like something that you guys will be running, or?
You did kind of hit it on the head. There is a local PotCoins in the works that will happen and will probably be launched at least in beta within a couple of weeks and sometime in July. However, from that, the ultimate goal, in my mind, and it seems the consumer as well, is really moving to the point that you could literally go to potcoin.com and purchase from the homepage. Now, I can make this happen today with Bitcoins, but when you start involving, credit, you've got a problem, especially in the U.S. with things like chargebacks. And you say, well, everybody gets chargebacks, and you just account for that as expected loss. But you can't do that when you're dealing with crypto because every time that's happened, basically it's been exploited. And people will wait 29 days and purposely, try to do it to you, competitors or just the scrupulous average Joe, and it's kind of sad. And it's one of these industries that because we aren't mature yet, we don't have a de facto standard recognized loss of chargebacks. So even if you charge 50% more on top, people would still buy it, believe me, for the sake of convenience, but you're still going to lose money. So we're looking at other methods, and it's not going to be immediate, most likely. That would be the ultimate goal. But I don't think the industry is to that point yet. So we're looking at solutions where it's not a 4 to 5 day bank transfer, but we can cut that down to, say, 24 hours. And we're very close. And once we've got that, then putting PotCoins and PotCards online is much easier. And at the same time, we can get them into hands other ways, local PotCoins, but also having preloaded cards in different denominations available at your local store, your head shop or dispensary, or even marijuana food place, wherever we can get them in. This is basically like an iTunes gift card in multiple denominations, and that's going to be the easiest way to get them in the hands without having to deal with processing. But it is very localized at that point. So we want multiple options, and they will exist. Just, give us and our lawyers a little bit of time, and we'll have it figured out.
Do you think we'll see probably both, like a local PotCoins and the cards and retailers selling those, and then obviously like a more direct one where you could just buy it direct as well?
Yeah, and you've got to have that. If you can't get it into the hands of consumers, you don't have these long-term investors, and you don't have the casual users. And so the goal being, I need to get this into the hands of my mom. I need my mom to understand this. I need her to have a pot card, know how to use it, or at least just know where she has to go that takes it, and that's it. She doesn't understand QR codes, doesn't care. Doesn't understand long, strings of numbers, doesn't care. She just wants to know that, okay, I go here and I have this and I get stuff and I get a discount. If we can get it down to that simplicity level, then we absolutely win. And it's really going to be the first of its kind. So yes, there's going to be multiple methods, local PotCoins, off the shelf, direct from the site, and each one will come out as we vetted them. But they're all on the table right now, absolutely.
Awesome, man. So from there, let's move on to PotFunder, I guess.
Yeah.
Myself and Deemington launched PotFunder about not even 2 weeks ago now, and I'm still kind of surprised that we even managed to do it, to be honest. Like, when we had the idea, it was just kind of, we didn't have a clue how we were going to pull it off, and then we managed to do it, so we were pretty impressed. And I believe the day we launched, you submitted a campaign to raise money for research towards Fragile X syndrome.
Yes.
And that's something that you obviously have direct experience with yourself. So would you like to tell us a bit about Fragile X syndrome and how it's affected you, and obviously how the cannabis was then involved as well?
Yeah, so I found out last July 8th that my son, who was just a little over 1 at that point, and we knew he had problems, but we didn't know what. But we had genetic testing done. We found out, yes, he was positive for Fragile X syndrome. And Fragile X syndrome is a form of mental retardation and also the leading cause of autism, leading known cause of autism. And you say, well, if it's one syndrome, how can it be another? But basically, it can translate over depending on the variety of the condition. But Fragile X is very much its own syndrome. And it's got its own problems, but each child is a little bit different. But for the most part, yes, they're mentally disabled, and they are for life. There is no cure. And so when I realized that's what it was, and I started to do research in it, and I've been a long time into cannabis and a big time investor in cannabis, I immediately went down that road. I said, wait a minute, there's no medicine, there's no nut. no, I'm going to fix my son. It's the goal of my entire life at this point. So I immediately started looking into the receptors in the brain, and many of them are affected by the FMRP protein, the Fragile X mental retardation protein. And this basically is shut off by essentially corruption. If think of it like a hard drive, corruption in your genetics that's passed down through family. And so he's got corrupted genes, and that causes a protein to not produce the way that it would with you and I. So I look into that, and I realize in all my research, well, part of what's affected are the CB1 and CB2 receptors in the brain. My God, those are affected by marijuana and cannabidiol. I've got to try cannabidiol. So I went to the top doctor in the world, and I asked her, Dr. Randy Hagerman, and I said, should we try this? I mean, are you okay with it? Do you see any side effects? I've done all the research. It looks great. I've seen it work in autistic children and in similar conditions. And while she can't publicly support it, she absolutely was like, you know what? I can't endorse you, but please record your results, and I want to meet up back with you in a year and find out how everything's going. Well, I'm meeting with her actually next week. That'll be the year time frame, and I can tell you it's been amazing. So my son's been on cannabidiol, CBD, the non-psychoactive component of marijuana and hemp, for about 11 months now. And initially, we didn't notice much, but 72 hours after his first treatment, he changed. He changed dramatically. He lost all his anxiety. He started going places he'd never gone before. He was never able to eat. If he had even just a piece of rice in soup would make him throw up. He threw up 5 times a day. Every time we tried to feed him, it was terrible. And after 2 weeks of CBD treatment, he was able to eat solid food. He now just grabs handfuls of food and just shoves them in his face, and it's fantastic. And so he walks, he talks, he eats, he does sign language now. He goes everywhere. He's like a normal boy, and I know he's not. He's not fixed. He's far from fixed. It's the CB1 and CB2s are only 2 of the 3 pairs of receptors heavily affected by Fragile X syndrome. But we've addressed 2 out of 6, which is amazing, and it truly is working. And we're the first ones to ever do this with the Fragile X, child, but maybe, as far as we know, with Fragile X in general. So I spent a lot of time in the first 90 days really documenting everything, and I'm going to present that evidence here shortly. We got the Fragile X month coming up of July, and the National Fragile X Day on July 22nd. Fragile X conferences, all this stuff that I now know a lot about that I didn't before, and I want to present this evidence. But at the same time, I'm really excited about PotFunder. When I saw it come up and I looked, I said, this is great. It really supports the ability for me to start this for my son, because I want to see more money go into research in regards to CBD and THC with Fragile X and autism. I've seen the results. They're amazing, and the community is just not looking that direction. And I think with the funds that we're going to give there, and with the price of pot, frankly, I'm expecting to give them a check of probably $2,000 to $4,000 by the end of the month, as long as we keep going up, which is going to be fantastic, because it may not be the $200,000 to $400,000 they need to really get a research project going, but 2 to 4K is going to open a lot of eyes and say, wow, this is being done, and here's the evidence, and there's even money and a community to support it. Maybe we should really start looking into this. That's what I expect to get out of it, and I hope to change the minds of a lot of parents out there who are struggling with Fragile X children, who feel completely helpless, and they don't have to be. They can use CBD. They can use it in all 50 states. CBD is not illegal. People don't know this. It is not illegal. It's readily obtained in other states outside of Colorado, and it's helping kids and adults every day with terrible diseases, from MS to excuse me, to cancer. As I say that, I cough. To Fragile X and autism. It really is amazing. It's opened my eyes, and it makes me really not just a longtime supporter, but a lifelong supporter of cannabis as medicine. And I want PotCoin to truly succeed, to support this industry and to support saving children and adults that have terrible diseases that are positively affected, if not cured, by the use of CBD and THC. So I'm very excited, and I thank you so much for starting PotFunder. It really gives us a place to fund projects as well as things like this that are very important to our industry. And I want people to know that it's not just about getting high. This is about getting well. There's more to marijuana than most people know.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's like I had that interview the other day with vocative.com, and they were just asking me like, oh, so do you get high, do you smoke? And I was like, it's not about that really. It's about much more than that, you know. Like there's so much more to it, and how it can change things. And I think along with cryptocurrency, hand in hand, they can both kind of benefit each other, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, so people who are listening, if you can spare like any PotCoins, don't feel like it has to be a lot. Like even if it's just like 5 PotCoins or something,
Sure.
head on over to PotFunder and send it across, and let's try and meet that target or even exceed it. The first one for the Cannabis Health Service got to 181%. So let's try and get this one to 200%. Let's see what we can do.
Please. Thank you.
So yeah, obviously once we get that, we'll be sending those PotCoins over to you, and you're going to make the payment to Fraxa.
Yes.
And
yes, and I've already got it lined up to even do the very large oversized check, which I think will be a nice cool effect, because I want the image to get around, not just in the Fragile X community, but also in our communities, that we are giving back, and that this is for a much greater purpose than just, like we said, getting high or getting rich off crypto. This is a combination of everything. We are going to affect society in a positive way.
yeah, that's right, man. Like it can really help with both the medical and the legalization movement, because they're both things that are lacking in funding at them. And
Yes.
just kind of, especially when it comes to kids, it breaks my heart. I'm a dad myself, and there's kids around like in my country here that could maybe be benefiting from this stuff, and they just can't get their hands on it. Recently, a pharmaceutical company has launched a new CBD medicine for epilepsy in kids. So that's getting through to people now, finally, over here. So yeah, hopefully it's all moving forwards, and hopefully more people will benefit from it, because it's just, like you say, the research, as soon as we get more research, then it can open the eyes to more people.
Yeah, there's only one country in the world that's been able to do research on marijuana, and that's Israel. That's amazing. I mean, Uruguay's now gone completely legal, so that will begin. But simply because we classify this as a Schedule 1, the rest of the world has been shut down because of lack of funding for research, and that's really sad. It's amazing, amazing medicine, and I think over the next 10 years, the rest of the world is really going to get their eyes open to what CBD and THC really do.
Great, man. So that's pretty much all I had to talk about. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap it up?
No, thanks, Bobby.
No,
It's great.
thank you, man. Thanks for your time, and keep in touch. I hope we could do this again.
Yeah, absolutely, anytime.
That'd be great, man. Nice one. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And to everyone else watching, be sure to check out the campaign over on potfunder.com. You'll see it there. It's the big featured one at the top of the page. You can't miss it. And go and follow Russell. He's at Nihilator on Twitter. And you'll see him around in the PotCoin joint forums and on Reddit and everywhere else. And everyone knows where I am by now. If you're watching this, you don't need to tell you where to find me. So take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. And I'm not sure when the next video will be, but I'll make sure I let you all know. Take it easy.